Hey folks, welcome back to Good Enough Customs. Here we are, back on Harvey Dent. Come on, truck. Work with me here. So last week we left off. I got passenger side done, ready to go. Driver's side, we had a bit of a snafu where, let's see. Hopefully y'all guys can see that. That light is doing some weird stuff. But you can see how bad that spindle is. That thing is trashed. So, turn off my lights, save my batteries. So this is where it comes in handy. Congregating with like-minded individuals. Wait, that sounds like some sort of skinhead convention. No, not those type of individuals. So as y'all guys can tell, you know, I'm a big fan of the C10s. You know, you see it on the wall. There's a Tennessee C10 Club. There's that. There's all those. And, you know, various other things I've got around the garage. And, you know, not to mention, I got two that I drive on the regular. But, you know, I do a lot of stuff with the C10 Club of Tennessee. We get out, do cruises, shows. Later this year, we have a toy drive going on. So, you know, do a lot of stuff with these guys. Well, we also, you know, we don't discriminate between C10s. If it's a C10, pretty much any year, whatever, bring it, have a good time. There's also the OBS Club of Tennessee, and that's, you know, these guys, 88 to 98. So they got the OBS Club and all that stuff. So I'm on both the Facebook groups, and so I threw out a thing on the Facebook, you know, the OBS group, and was just like, hey, trying to put together my son's truck, and I need a factory driver's side spindle. And was sitting there just kind of, you know, hoping that somebody's got one just kind of laying around that they're willing to sell super cheap or give. And then I was like, wait a minute. My buddy Gerard, who lives about a half hour away, I see him all the time at like Cars and Coffee and at the bigger events, stuff like that. So see him a bunch. And we're also friends on Facebook. And I was like, wait, he is putting together an OBS for his wife. I think it was her dad's truck, if I remember correctly. I may be off on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And he just finished putting a suspension drop on that guy. So I shot him a message real quick. I was like, hey man, you got that stuff I need? No, I wasn't like that. It was, I shot him a message, said, hey, you know, you wouldn't happen to still have those stock spindles, would you? He was like, yeah, I got the springs too. I was like, sweet, what do you want for it? You know, so he threw a number at me. I was just like, yeah, that's extremely doable. So we went yesterday, that would have been Sunday, and picked up, where did I stack all this crap? Okay, yeah, it's right here. So I went and picked up both front spindles at her factory and went ahead and picked up the springs. Also picked up some tie rod ends. Since these that are on here are, yeah, they're kind of butchered. So, that being said, we now have a spindle for the driver's side. Sweet. So I figure I got a few minutes before I got to go pick up Jackson from football. Why won't you work with me? Dang it. So if he was already driving, I wouldn't have to go pick him up for football, and maybe I'd be working on a K5. But so I got to go pick up Jackson from football practice here in a few minutes. And I was like, you know what? I'm around here. I'm going to do a quick update, and I'm going to go ahead and start breaking the ruined spindle apart. Go ahead and get the ball joints pulled off, or get it pulled off the ball joints, and get all that done. Get these clean, or this one cleaned up, and get it set on there. And then as soon as we get back from picking him up from football, then we can go ahead and get the hub and everything put together, put the new pads in, get all that stuff done. Kind of want to wait on doing all that for Jackson to get here, because after all, the driver's side is his side. I'm letting him work that side. I'm doing this side. And so I may wait and let him do all of it. I'll at least go ahead and fix this ball joint, or this tie rod end over here. on my side. But so that's kind of where we're at. Maybe I'll work on the exhaust. I keep saying the exhaust, and it just never happens. Maybe because I'm not a big fan of working on the exhaust. You might could tell over the different videos, the things that I really don't want to do. I say a lot of times over and over and over again, I really don't want to work on the exhaust. Maybe I'll do that. I probably ain't gonna happen today. That'll probably end up happening either later this week or maybe this weekend. So anyways, gonna try to get started on that. Actually, we'll probably try and get everything done this week. All right, enough of that. I guess I'm gonna get in here, go ahead and get this, gotta get the backing plate off, or the dust shield, whatever you want to call it. Gotta get that guy back off, and I gotta get these ball joints broke loose, and have that all ready to go for the new spindle, which I do need to just kind of clean it up a little bit. They're not real bad. They're actually cleaner than these that I pulled off of this. So anyways, I guess I'm gonna hop to it, and I guess we'll see y'all guys here in just a second. We're going to replace the outer tie rod end. I ended up buying 2 of them, one for each side, because, well, we had to split that nut because the stud on this guy was turning with the bolt. And I found some good bolts, but the stud's still turning with the bolt once it hits any little bit of resistance. So with those guys turning in there, these are pretty well done. So went ahead and got some new ones. Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, at this point, trying to keep it at $2,000 is getting very, very tight. But we should be pretty good, pretty close. So a couple different ways to try and get figured out, you know, because you want to set this. It's already been set, so we know that the alignment should be good. It may not be. It may be completely out. But we want to set it kind of back where it was. So I'm going to take, just so I can kind of see what I'm doing here, I got my little wire wheel. I was going to take and kind of clean these threads up right here. Mainly because this side is disgusting. So now I've actually got threads that I can see. So a couple things we're going to want to do is we've got to unloosen the collar. So we got to loosen this guy up. That'll let us start turning this to get the tie rod out. Then we just got to make sure that we're on the same, you know, our dimensions are the same when we go to put it back in. So first thing we're going to do is I got to open up this bag. It's got the new tie rod in it. Of course, the grease zerk is not attached. Dang it, ate that. I will leave that zerk in the box, or in the bag in the box, so that way it doesn't get lost. So here's our new tie rod end, and we can kind of eyeball it. It looks to be roughly the same length and all that stuff, which it should be. So just to kind of be on the safe side, I'm going to do a quick eyeball measurement. Yeah, a lot of eyeball measurements here. So we got roughly 7.5 to the center of the bolt. Like I said, roughly 7.5. I could be off on that. And this looks like roughly 7.5. So these look to be about the same. Actually, that is not to the center of the bolt. That would be to the back side of the bolt, which is actually exactly what we got here. So these should be pretty doggone close. And we can do a little shoestring alignment, you know, or tape measure alignment just to make sure that our toes set correctly. You know, we may do that. We'll see. So we're going to set that guy down for a second. And then I'm going to grab my rachet and my wrench. And I think these are 13 millimeter bolts. But, you know, half and 13. They're pretty doggone close. So we'll get her loosened up. Maybe I should have put the wire wheel on that guy. Let me get some penetrant so I don't bust the bolt. That's off of there, or it's loosened up. So you don't have to take these pieces completely off. They actually make little tools to get these guys separated and do all that stuff. Of course, I don't have one because I don't really have a lot of specialty tools. So we just make do with what we got. Screwdriver, flex her out a little bit. And I'm just using this to keep it from turning on me. All right, that should be loose enough to undo this guy. So what we're going to check is, I guess we're going to go from the edge of the collar, which is right there, to, well, if I can get the tape measure to sit right. I'm going to go edge of the collar to edge of this guy. That gives me 6 1/4 inches. So 6 1/4 inches from the edge of this guy to the very tip of the tie rod end. So we'll go with that. Pop that guy out. Let's see if we can't loosen that guy up. And we're not worried about messing this guy up at all because it's junk anyways. Good Lord, have mercy. That is still really snug on there. I thought I bent that out a little bit more than that. Alrighty, I had to go pick up Jackson from football, so now I'm back. All right, I gave this another shot of Freol and then tightened it up a little bit to make sure it got down on the threads good. So she's loosening up a little bit. Yeah, that's how it needs to be. I already forgot my measurements. That's okay. I'll watch back on the film and see what I said. I want to say it was 6 1/4 inch. I want to say some of these are actually squared off where you can use a wrench on them. But like I said, this thing's garbage, so I wasn't worried about putting all that pressure on the ball, on the little ball joint there. Tie rod end, what have you. All right, now that guy's out of there, I'm gonna give this another little shot real quick and maybe kind of flush it, so to speak. Got a lot of rust down in there. So we'll go ahead and lace this guy in. So that's where she gets tight. So you can see where it was inside the collar with the rust, and then as it comes on out. So you could always count your threads, and I could have done that before pulling this out. Count the threads back and see how many threads you got left that are exposed. Could have counted the turns as I was unscrewing it, but since this thing was really being difficult, or I'll just do what I did before, which is measure from the collar to this side of the shank, which put me at 6 1/4 inch, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so I just went back and re-watched the footage because I couldn't remember what the measurement was. So it was 6 1/4 to the edge of this guy. I'm gonna go ahead and get this guy out too. So 6 1/4 to there. Let's make sure we're in the right spot. And we are dead nuts on 6 1/4. Basically, I stopped turning this once that started getting hard to turn. Mainly because we broke all this loose and got all the rust out of it. You know, I hit it with the penetrant and everything. So that seemed to knock all the rust loose, which that's cool. We're good to go there. But once it started getting difficult, then I knew I was getting into fresh rust, and we hadn't been there yet. So So this should be pretty doggone close to where it was before. Well, anyways, before we go hooking all this guy up and get it underneath, just so I don't have to lay on the ground to put the Zerk in, we're going to go try to put the Zerk in like this. So again, just be very careful. Try to get it as straight as possible to let it get in there and get started. And then definitely use a wrench for this, not a pair of pliers. And just very, very gently start rolling her down on in there. This one's seating really nice. And just make... Alright, sorry about the dog barking. Their dog food's getting delivered, and you know, FedEx and UPS and the mailman, they are evil invaders that the dog must protect us against at all costs. So I went and put him up, and here we go. So got that guy started in, you know, real nice and easy. Went ahead, turned it on in using a wrench. As you're tightening up the Zerk, just make sure that you keep an eye on your gap here at the bottom. You want it to seat, but you don't want to over tighten. So if you over tighten it, you're going to rip the threads out, and that's a bad day. So that guy's down there, and it is tight and ready for service. So we'll take this off. The other nice thing about this tie rod end is, boy, is she tight too. Good God. There. This one actually has an Allen head in the tip of it. So in case the ball does decide to start spinning, you can at least get the nut off of it without having to worry about, you know, having to get out a nut buster. Come on. There we go. I didn't check to see what size this is. Probably a size I don't have on hand over here. So if we look out and maybe oh my God, look at that. Go buy a lottery ticket. I actually had the size over here. What size is this? 18? 19. Man. So that's in there now. I just got to crank this guy back down and we're done over here. So other than, you know, I got to go through and put grease in all the Zerks, but I'll do that off camera. That's, you know, that's not all that entertaining to watch. So anyways, I guess we'll get started over here on the driver's side, either here in a minute or tomorrow maybe. So I guess we'll catch up with y'all over there. All right, so Jackson is currently working on getting the boogered up spindle off. I've already got the new to us spindle. I cleaned it up, so it's ready to go. So he's going to get that guy pulled out and get this guy put in, and then we'll get all the reassembly done. And that'll probably be all we do tonight. So once we get that wrapped up, we'll probably call it a night. I'm not going to film it because we just did the passenger side. It's all the same crap. So we'll keep working on this, get this done for tonight, call it a night, go wash up, get some dinner. You know, we got work and school tomorrow. So we'll be back out here tomorrow to work on it some more. So we'll catch you then. So a couple days later, we finally went to put everything back together, and come to find out that the spindle washer, let's see. Yeah, there we go. You can see how boogered that thing is. And it's also missing a little tab right here. Should be a tab right there that keeps it stationary. Yeah, that thing got beat all to pieces. So went to our local O'Reilly's and picked up one. Jackson is currently making a giant mess, greasing the spindle and his hand. So getting ready to slap the new hub and bearings and all that stuff on there. And then once he gets that done, we'll get the outer bearing slid in there, get the new washer and the nut, same nut, just clean. We'll get those on there. We'll get that guy torqued down, you know, set the preload on it. Then we'll get the brakes fixed. We'll get the new brake pads on it. And so then all we got to do is change out the shocks and put the seat back in it because the seat's still sitting in the bed. And the exhaust. And I'm really slacking on the exhaust just because I'm not 100% sure how I want to do that. I've got an idea. I got to get under there and just look at it and make sure it all works. But I don't think we're going to have it on the road tonight. We'll get a lot of work done tonight, but we'll probably, if we can, tomorrow, possibly be able to get it on the road. If not, it'll be sometime Saturday before we can get out and take it for a little test trip and make sure it seems to be working. And then I can get the windshield scheduled for next week whenever it's out of the garage, and I can bring Steve back inside because I don't like leaving Steve out in the cold like this. So, so anyhow, so we're going to get to it. I'm not going to worry about filming all this because y'all literally just saw me do this on the passenger side. It's the exact same thing. It's just a mirror image. So, once we get to doing other things, like the exhaust, then yeah, I'll turn the camera back on. But, not going to worry about shocks. Shocks are, you know, they're shocks. It's just bolts. Unless we're running into something fun while we're doing it, then I'll turn the camera on. So, anyhow, I'll catch up with y'all in a little while, or later, or in a day or two. So, we'll catch up in a bit. Okie dokie. So, we got, passenger side put back together, and we just started pulling the shocks out. And, I had a feeling they were pretty weak on the front. The back ones are just, we're back there bouncing on it right after we got the truck home, and there's no shocks there. So, just pulled off one shock, and, yeah, look at this. It's just like, and look at that rebound. Wait. I'm just kidding. It ain't coming back. So, so anyways, yeah, shocks are definitely blown. Not shocking. Anyways, so pulling all the shocks off. We got that one off, but it's dinner 30. So, we're going to call that a night for tonight. It is a weeknight. I got work. He's got school. You know the drill. So, so tomorrow night we'll get out here. We'll pull the rest of the shocks off. We'll get those guys swapped out and maybe attack the muffler situation. Maybe just run the straight pipe, no muffler. I don't know. Nah, I ain't gonna do that. But we'll attack that stuff tomorrow night and see if we can't get that all done to where literally all that's left is putting the seat in and putting the windshield in it and ready for the road. So, anyways, I guess I'll see y'all tomorrow. All right, folks. Jackson has gone through and wiped us down a few times. You know, 24 years of dirt and grime. You can only do so much. Plus, you know, it's a vinyl rubber floor mat. So, so we got that done. Got all the shocks on. So all the shocks are on now. I still haven't done the exhaust. Plan on doing that probably Saturday. So we're going to slap the seat in this guy. Get the seat and the seat belts in. And then, I think we're going to call it a night after that. And then probably Saturday, I'll do the exhaust and we'll get that stuff done. Then we take it out for a little test drive. So, all right, we'll catch back up here in a bit.
Go.
You're hitting the steering wheel. Oh, so, rotate it.
Let me get the nut.
Go ahead and slide out. You don't need the nut right now.
I'm going to get it out the way. Ooh, I got a fresh handle right there.
Okay. All right, seat's in. And the truck is somewhat cleaned up. So let's go for a little peek. So, floor is cleanish. I mean, there's still some little spots. You know, I got some over there, got some way over there. But the seat turned out really, really well. It's not as gross and dingy as it was. Of course, the dash has had some abuse to it. That's okay though. Of course, that door panel's missing the armrest. We got it in the bed, but it's really tore up. Kind of like this one where it's just hanging on with hopes and dreams. I think I actually have one of these window cranks somewhere. But yeah, so the interior's back together. And we got the wheels on. We hadn't put the beauty rings back on. And I still got to crank them down with the impact, give her the old ugga-duggas. And then it's just getting to the exhaust. So I don't mind doing exhaust work. It's the climbing around on my back, looking up, getting dirt in my face, and all that I don't enjoy about it. So tend to put those type of things off. But we're pretty well done with this thing. So I guess next time I talk to y'all guys, it'll be hopefully Saturday. I'll get out here and try to get that exhaust finished up. We'll tighten up all the wheels, put the beauty rings on, and we'll take this son of a gun for a cruise and see what she does. So I guess I'll see y'all guys on Saturday. All right, folks. So it's Friday. I've got like an hour before I've got to leave to go to Jackson's football game. So I figure, you know what? I might as well get over here and peek around underneath this thing and try to figure out the exhaust. So let's get under here and see what's going on. All right, so what we got is, here's our muffler. Just kind of hanging out over here. I've got varying types of couplers. I believe I have a 3-to-3 because this is a 3-inch. I'm pretty positive. Pretty sure this is a 3-inch pipe. Yep. So this is a 3-inch outside diameter, and this guy is 2 1/4 outside diameter. So I did measure these before I went to the parts house and got just some little couplers. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the 3-inch coupler to 3-inch coupler here. I think I'll have to look and see exactly what I bought, but I'm pretty sure I got a 3 to 3-inch coupler, and then I got like a 3-inch to 2.5, and then a 2.5 down to where it's got a 2 1/4 inside diameter for this guy's 2 1/4 outside diameter. The goal is I really don't want to weld underneath the truck. This is going to be a temporary setup. I'm probably going to end up just getting him a different muffler altogether, but this will at least get us down the road. You know, that's kind of the big key right now is just get it on the road. So what we need to do is we need to measure out what our total length is here. So let's get this guy swung up where he needs to go. Put that on top of that cross member. Yeah. All right. So we need roughly 17.5 inches of exhaust pipe. So we need roughly 17.5 inches to span from here to here. Yeah, it's got dirt in my eye. So what we're going to do is we will take the couplers that we're going to use. We'll figure out what length that is from the inside seating surface, I guess you could say. So we'll figure out what our depth is on this guy, which should be pretty well seated in. And we'll measure from the inside of where the other 3 inch is going to go. And then basically we're going to measure the couplers, take that away from the 17.5, and that's how much of a 3 inch I need to cut. There we go. Got it out. So let's go back up topside, and I guess let's do some measuring there and figure out what we need to do up there. All right, yeah, so here's what I got. 3-inch inside to 3-inch inside. So that's gonna be my main coupler to the existing pipe, which my scrap pipe that I got laying around should slide right on in there, no problems. So we got our 3-inch to 3-inch inside diameter pipe. Yeah, 3-inch outside diameter to 2.5-inch inside diameter. So this one I may have to weld. Yeah, I'll probably have to weld this up. And that's no big deal. I mean, we're just talking just a quick buzz around. And then we've got our 2 1/4 inside diameter for this guy to our 2 1/2 outside diameter here. So again, I might have to, oh no, he'll clamp up. Although I may just go ahead and weld this up because I can always adjust my length here. If I'm a few inches shy, I can extend it out. If I'm a few inches too long, I can drop it back in. Who couldn't use that in real life? Anyways, so we got 17.5 inches is our total area that we need to pick up. So this pretty much is not going to be a whole lot right here. So we're going to probably call this 1/2 inch. Yeah, we'll call that a 1/2 inch because they're not going to go inside this bend. They're not going to go down to where it necks down right here. So that's our little pinch point. So we can lose that. So we got a 1/2 inch of gap there, no big deal. We can slap him on here. So we go, I may be making nonsense here. So this right here gives me roughly 8 3/4. And then I can weld this guy to the tip of it, which then puts me at 8 3/4, and then we'll gain another 1.5 inches. So that's 9 3/4, 10 1/4. We got a long ways to go here. And then this guy, so yeah, this is definitely not going to be enough, unfortunately. And I really don't want to go cutting up. I've got to, wow, we're going to be literally, hang on a second, let's look at this. So if I leave that guy, if I just butt him up, basically barely set him in and weld this guy up. All right. So we're going to go from this point. That gives me 10.5 inches. And then this guy's going to get welded on the end of it. Of course, I'm doing this off camera now. All right, how about this? We'll do it this way. Now you guys can see. Don't mind this guy, he's just a placeholder. So if I just barely stick this dude in there, I'll probably put the crappy end in there because it's crappy end. So if I just barely stick that guy in there and I just weld that up, that's going to get me 10.5. And then I can put this guy on, which is going to get me to 12 inches. And then I can put this guy just barely in, which will get me, should get me pretty doggone close. Ugh. What did I say, 17.5? Man, I really don't want to have to cut a good stick out, and I don't have to cut this down just to weld up a couple inches of worth of exhaust on here. So I guess the other thing I could do here is push this side back and just not hang it on the existing exhaust pipe by much. So I could potentially make all of this work right here with just these little pieces. So I can make all these guys work with all these pieces. Good deal. And it almost never fails that my neighbor's kid gets out on his four-wheeler that doesn't really have a muffler on it whenever I start recording. So y'all got what's going on here, right? So what I'm gonna do, I guess, is start peeling some of these stickers off. And I guess I'm gonna go ahead and zip these guys together. And we'll be pretty well ready to go, I think. So basically, I'm just gonna set these guys right on the tips. So they're just barely gonna get in there, and I'm just gonna weld them up. So I get the maximum length out of it. Because now this goes from being, if I sunk him down in there, I've got 5.5 inches. But if I extend this guy out and just barely stick him on there and get him welded in, that gives me 7 inches. So I gain 1.5 inches there. And then here, I can move this guy, you know, so say this guy's the existing pipe from the cat. So instead of taking him and, you know, basically sticking it all the way down, to bottom, I can just pull it out a little bit and get it to where it's, you know, it's about right here, and I can put that clamp on. And then maybe just throw a couple tacks on it to keep it, you know, keep it from moving. So I think that is what I'm gonna do. And then also weld this guy up just, like I said, just barely at the edge, and just weld this guy up. So I believe that's what I'm gonna do. I think this will work. This should get me pretty close. I'll probably weld this stuff up and then slide under there, or weld part of it up, do some setting and checking to make sure that, you know, distance is working for me, so I don't have to come back and cut and then add a piece of 3-inch in or anything. So, so I'll get started on this. Maybe, let me see what time it is. I've got a few minutes. I don't have much longer, but I do have a little bit. So I'll do all this. I'll probably go ahead and get started on cleaning up these stickers so I can get some welds laid down. So I'll catch back up with y'all here in a few. That's pretty straight. Good enough for me. Let's see if that'll work. I don't know if that'll catch and do just like it needs to or not. It may be slightly off center. Whatever. It ain't gonna win any beauty contest, but there it is. Alright, folks, so got my little patch piece made up. It kind of snakes a little bit, but you know, I'm kind of in a rush, so I'm not being as cautious as I usually am. So we have a total of, man, we can go 18 inches on this thing. So we got 17 and a half. I can't really touch this because it's hotter than crap. But let me find something to point with. How's that sound? Here, we got an ink pen that might or might not melt. So anyways, I've got 17 and a half inches to here, which is perfect. The only problem I may run into is actually getting it installed. So so I got 17 and a half inches from here to the tip of this. So now the problem is I've got to get this other 1.5 inches back here on the 3-inch. And then I'll probably end up just splitting the difference of taking about 1 inch or 3/4 of an inch of this overhang onto the catalytic converter side, and then probably 3/4 of an inch overhang on this side as well. If my math's right, I could be completely wrong and get on there and go, well, crap. So But it's a little too hot to be messing with right now, so I'm gonna let this guy sit and cool while I go to a ball game. So I guess we'll catch up with y'all at some point tomorrow. Well, all right, we are back. It is Saturday. Last night had the final football game of the year. Jackson's team unfortunately did not win, but he played a hell of a game. So proud of him for that. So anyways, so last night I made my not so straight piece of exhaust pipe. You know, it's kind of like a telescope. But so I made that guy last night. Kind of in a rush since, you know, I was trying to get out there to the football game. Yeah, not my best work. It's definitely ugly. I was having a problem last night blowing holes, so I guess I could have turned the welder down a little bit and tried to actually lay beads, but instead just, you know, just drop a bunch of spots on top of each other. It works just the same, I guess. But anyways, did that. I found a couple holes this morning. I went ahead and plugged those little holes up. There's just like three little pinholes in the welds. So went ahead, buttoned those up. So here we go. I'm gonna climb up under here. Hopefully this guy fits for a shot. And as long as it fits up, then I'll go ahead and bolt her in. So I'll see y'all down under. All right, so let's see how this works, if it'll work. All right, so we'll slide him all the way on back. It gives me a little room to operate up here on the front side. I got a couple burrs that probably ought to be taken care of. Let's see if we can take care of those with a little 9/16 socket. Everything is a hammer. Okay, that's handled. Maybe. All right, so we are in a good spot here. This could probably stand to come down a little bit further, but I don't think it is. I think this guy's about where it's going to want to live. And really, I could take the whole thing and push it back a little bit. Bring that up there. All right. I'm going to put our exhaust clamps on. Did I not get the right size? I thought this was 2 1/4. Oh, this is 2 1/8. Dang it. It's not quite right on the size. But we are only talking about an 1/8 inch. So I wonder if I can't just take and well, before I go knocking on that anymore, since I grabbed the wrong size clamp, genius move. Let me go and get this 3-inch clamp on. I hope it's the right freaking size. There we go. Yeah. So I'll get this 3-inch clamp on. That way this joint over here don't wobble and flop around a bunch. So that's there. Is that enough to where I can maybe get the clamp on it? Let's find out. Oh, just shy. Dadgummit. All right. All right, let me go get a persuader and we'll have a little chat with it and see if we can't make it work. All right, here we go. All right, so we are short of getting that on there by just a tiny little bit. So I wonder if I can. Looks like I can get it done on this side. 1 or 2 turns. Okay. Let's see if I'm lucky on this other side. Oh, just a touch off. Yep, there we go. And just like that, a 2 1/8 becomes a 2 1/4. Yep, my battery's about done. So I know there's a hanger here, and it really wouldn't take much for me to just take a piece of metal and, you know, bend it and plug it into there and just weld it up here, but that's pretty secure. That ain't going nowhere.
Where you going? Nowhere.
So we're gonna call that good. We'll get over here and fire this thing up in just a minute, and let's see what this muffler even sounds like, because honestly I don't know. We don't know yet. So we'll see what this sounds like with this muffler on it, and who knows, this may be the permanent muffler until we get the drop put on, because then we'll probably cut it somewhere back over in here in front of the axle and just do a little turn down. So anyways, let's see what she sounds like. Well, that thing is super quiet. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'd almost want it a little loud so that way I could hear him when he comes home. But don't want it loud because then he'll be out doing stupid crap, because it's just like, listen to this, wabba, wabba. I don't know. We all do stupid crap when we're teenagers. Anyways, I know I did my fair share. Anyhow. So exhaust is done. I did mess up. I went ahead and put all the wheels on, and I haven't tightened them down yet, but I forgot to grease the ball joints and the tie rod ends. So I got to load up my grease gun, get that done real quick, and make sure I get all of the little pieces and parts picked up from around this guy and out from underneath it. I'm gonna put this truck on the ground. So I guess I'm gonna get on that, and we'll catch up with y'all very shortly.
That's great.
right back. Well, alrighty, so truck's on the ground, it's out of the shop, sitting there running. Sounds pretty good. The power steering fluid was bone dry, so Jackson was really struggling trying to get it out of the shop. I put 1.5 quarts power steering fluid in that thing. I mean, it was dry. Pump was whining pretty bad, but it's quieting down, so I'm not too worried about the pump at this point. But the steering box itself is well, it's already dripping a little bit, so he'll have to keep an eye on that for now. But it's time for a test drive. All right, so driving down the road now, just pulled out of the driveway. Yeah, we got to do something about this steering. It's in pretty bad shape. You might notice that I'm not wearing a seatbelt, and that's because the buckle doesn't work on the driver's side. So that's another thing we'll have to fix. You hear that power steering pump just whining. Ooh, a little firm shift. Yeah. Slight delay on the steering action. So, oh man. Yeah. She's a $600 truck, that's for damn sure. But I mean, you know, it's doing all right on the straightaway. Feels like we got a little intermittent miss. So may have to, I didn't replace the cap or rotor on this guy, so might need to look at those. So we'll see what those look like. Wow, this steering is jacked. I really wish now I had kept the steering stuff off of that other truck that I parted out. I didn't hoard the right parts, but and she drives pretty smooth. The shift into fourth is a little weird. It's kind of bucking a little bit, but we'll see what happens with it. I figured, you know, it's a $600 truck, and I've already told Jackson a few times, be very careful. It's a $600 truck. Yeah. Now just to get used to all the weird noises and stuff that it's going to make, but it's not too bad. Brakes seem to be working pretty good. No complaint there. Let's pin it and see what she does. Woo! Feel like she got a shift kit in her. Yeah, this is the perfect vehicle for Jackson. It's slow as Christmas. Perfect. So, anyways, we're gonna ride this thing on out a little bit and just kind of see what we can see with it, and we'll check back in here in a bit and tell you what we found. Yeah, he's figuring it out. So my view is awesome. So yeah, so he's gonna ride us home very slowly. We're not gonna go quickly, mainly because there's the steering situation right now, just to try to attempt to keep it straight. So yeah, it looks like we're going to end up having to rebuild the steering on this guy. That's cool though, because we got the windshield scheduled for next Thursday. So we've got today, maybe tomorrow, and then throughout the week up till Thursday to get the steering fixed. So probably inner tie rod ends, maybe a pitman arm, don't know, idler arm, all those pieces and parts. We'll get fresh ones in there so that he's not, you know, dancing with the wheel trying to keep it straight and, you know, struggling to drive. Don't need him getting pulled over for officer thinking that he's drunk. So anyways, we'll check back in when we get back to the house. All right, folks, so test drive is successful-ish. So what we got left to do really before I can turn him loose in this thing, obviously windshield. We've got that scheduled for Thursday. The steering is an absolute nightmare, and I'm not sure if that's going to be alignment, which I'm sure that's part of it, but I think we're going to end up having to do pitman arm, drag link, and inner tie rods. I think we're going to have to, because there's so much slop in that steering. It is it's a chore. So but I did let Jackson drive it all the way back from town from the O'Reillys. So what do you think about your truck?
I love it. It's fun.
Well, there we go. So yeah, definitely my son there. He a lot like his dad, likes the beaters. So anyways, so I'm going to call that good for now. We've got a few more things to do to it this week. Like I said, I'll probably go inside here in a few minutes and look at what it's going to cost to do the inner tie rods and pitman arm, drag link, all that crap. We're not going to go to the box just yet. We're not going to deal with that just yet. We'll replace everything else. All right, so let's talk budget. What the whole point of this truck was an extreme budget build, get it on the road for less than $2,000. So if we look at everything I've done, 600 on the truck, which, you know, they still are out there. It's hard as hell to find them, and you got to be, I mean, on it. Cash in hand, walking up to the door, being like, yes. Like I said, whenever I bought the truck, I was actually going to walk away, but the guy was just like, would $600 change your mind? I'm like, well, yes. So 600 on the truck, 300 on the trans. We had we'll call 200 on pieces and random parts, you know, the stuff to make the truck run. We'll call that 200. So now we're sitting at $1,100. Then we've got all the brakes and the front end parts and all that stuff. That ended up being around $300 for all those pieces and parts. So that puts us at 14. Is that right? 1,400. Throw another 100 on there for getting the tires mounted and balanced. So we're sitting at 15. And I feel like I'm forgetting something here. I'm sure I am. I'm not including the shocks on this right now because I'm actually not using the shocks that I bought. You know, we lucked out on that. So, you know, we really did luck out on the tires and the shocks. So we have, you know, about 3/4 tread tires and really good shocks on this thing that literally didn't cost us anything. So, you know, that worked out really good in our favor. Otherwise, we probably would have been, if I just put factory style shocks on it, probably, I don't know, $150 maybe. Tires, probably $450, $500 for decent tires to put on this guy. So those saved us some big money there. But we're still sitting in this truck driving down the road, and fairly dependable. I'm pretty confident this truck's going to be a dependable truck. That may come back to bite me in the butt, but, you know, we'll see. But I'm pretty confident in this truck. The motor's tight. The trans shift's good. It's a little weird, but I did check it. It was like a 1.5 quart, 1.75 low on fluid. So I topped that guy off. Maybe that'll clear up some of that weird shifting it was doing. But I mean, we're in this truck $1,700. Round about $1,700 is what we actually have in the truck, and we just drove it to the parts house. And granted, it was just in a town. It's 10-minute ride into town, whatever. But yeah, we did it. So future things that I'm going to go ahead and get lined up and ready to go is we got the axle flip kit. We got the lowering shocks. I've actually already gone ahead and got the C-notch brackets for it. So we're going to do a whole episode on nothing but lowering this guy. I'm going to go inside here shortly and start pricing out the parts to get the rest of the steering up to par. I'm figuring it's probably going to be around $100 to $150 for that. That'll still keep us under our $2,000 to make it good streetable. So we'll probably be at, $1,800, $1,850, something like that, once everything's all said and done. So, but yeah, future plans will be getting the steering straightened out all the way, dropping the truck, doing the static drop on the truck. There's a few little odd and end things that we need to address. Went to drive it, and the driver's buckle wouldn't buckle. So I had Jackson take the seat back out, pull the seat belts, and switch them. So now the driver's side seat belt does work. Passenger side seat belt does not. It's not a bad thing. Somebody doesn't have any passengers with him. Sometimes passengers make you do dumb things. Or they suggest that you do dumb things, and you say, yes, that sounds like a great idea. Ask me how I know. I'll save you the suspense. I have had the passengers, and I have been the passenger. So yeah. Go ahead and slide that up underneath there to catch the drip coming from the steering box. So anyways, so that's something we'll have to do. We'll have to keep an eye out for, find us some new buckles for the seatbelt. New. It'll probably be junkyard stuff. And then something I've got to take care of sooner rather than later. It's not a huge deal right now, but it will be eventually. It's going to be a big problem. Is right here you can see stress crack. We got a big stress crack back over here. This whole piece is pulled in, or pulled out, I guess you would say. So this guy's sitting crooked, and I can sit there and wiggle it. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull the striker bolt out, try to flatten this out best I can, grind these edges down, clean it up a little bit, weld these pieces back together to make it one solid piece. And then I'm going to I got some leftover steel, right over here. I got some leftover steel from the Blazer, some 18 gauge, and I'm going to take that 18 gauge, and I'm going to cut a little square that'll fit right behind that. And then it'll probably be all the way to here and down to here. And I'll put a little square of 18 gauge behind this and just plug weld it in. And then that way this will be reinforced and it'll be welded back up, so I don't have to worry about that guy breaking again. So that's something I've definitely got to do. And then there's just some odd and end stuff, just creature comforts, I guess you could say. Like the tailgate handle, it doesn't work. And that's the way all these GMs are. The little plastic clip. Actually, we just bought the plastic clip. It's sitting right over there. So we got that. We're going to fix that. We got most of a door panel. The armrest is ripped out and missing. We got a busted window crank over there. That armrest is falling off. So, there's some creature comfort stuff that we're going to fix. But those things aren't super important right now. So, big thing is he'll have a truck to drive. Starting next week, he can start driving it after they get the windshield replaced. So, it'll probably be next Friday he can drive it to school. So that's it on the on this truck for right now. I'll probably keep working on it. You know, like I said, I've still got to get the steering stuff sorted out. So that'll probably be the next thing I do, because I do want to make that thing really good on the road. I'll probably record it. I don't know if it'll make it into the next video. I really want to get back over here on the Blazer, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. So so I think I'll probably work on this guy's steering sometime this week, try to get that done, film it, but it won't be anything that I put out on the channel anytime soon. And I think maybe next weekend I can get back over here on the Blazer and try to finish up that tail pan, get that guy finished putting it back together, and then I can start fixing my screw up on that inner fender, on the fender well on the driver's side where I put a bunch of holes in it. And then go through and clean it up and get that thing ready for the bed floor to go in. So, so yes, K5 will be back on the menu very soon. But anyways, I do appreciate y'all guys watching. I really appreciate the support. Keep the comments, questions, everything coming. I love it. It's great. I love answering questions and comments and stuff. It's one of those things that my phone goes off and I'm like, awesome. I don't dread it. It's not like an email where I go, yeah. But yeah, typically I answer those pretty quick. So, but thank you guys so much for watching. Check us out next week. Hopefully we'll be back on the Blazer next week. If you liked the video and you hadn't hit the like button, hit the like button. If you made it this far and you haven't subscribed, why are you waiting? Hit the freaking subscribe button. Don't cost nothing. Does nothing but help. Speaking of, we're getting close. We're 70 something subscribers away from the 1,000 mark. So be sure to tell friends, family, neighbors, enemies, random strangers that you see on the street, whatever. And tell them to check it out and subscribe. So anyways, I do appreciate it, guys and gals. And I guess we'll see y'all guys next week. Yeah. Just remember though, it ain't gotta be perfect. It just gotta be good enough. Y'all guys take it easy. We'll see you later.